and welcome back to the Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem podcast.
Take two.
Take two, because I forgot to record chaotic the first time. Who happens to be our host.
What? Or something. Hello? Okay, hang on, I got this. Hello and welcome to the Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem podcast. This is Chaotic, your host, with our other host...
Silver. Wing. Or Silver.
Wing? Question?
Got chicken wing.
And the other mysterious voice you just heard is Ruby, our guest host for this episode.
And also the little sister to Silver. Dun dun dun.
I was gonna say awkward silence or enter like some kind of like horrible Bach song.
Oh yeah.
The evil has come.
Yeah. I completely forgot where we left off at.
Well, we started from the beginning again, so we don't have to...
Yeah,
what
so
are
you're going to tell us everything you know.
Cool.
Yeah, what are you here to talk about?
So I am here to talk about the legendary Mothman. And so, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Where we first started, where Mothman was first found, spotted, looked upon, November 12th, 1966. That's kind of a long time ago for us. In Clendena, West Virginia, 4 graveyard diggers saw a mystical, massive framed thing jumping from tree to tree, and it was described as a large brown human being. It stands about 10 feet tall. His wings are about 10 feet long, wide. Okay, 10 feet wide, about like the size of a car, and he can fly about 100 miles per hour, but he cannot walk to save his life. He kind of is super clumsy when he's walking on his feet. I mean, I don't know if they have like bird-looking feet, but I know the statue has like bird-looking feet, but anyway, that's skipping a hard. He has ruby red eyes, and some people say he's like brown in color, white in color, different, I guess, forms of a moth. And a lot of people say he was from the TNT area in West Virginia, where they used to keep ammunition. Yeah, ammunition back in like World War II. And so they think with the toxic stuff coming out of said bunker of the TNT area, kind of like the Spider-Man. How the spider fell into the radioactive...
You're thinking of Joker. Spider-Man got bit by a radioactive spider. Joker fell into radioactive waste.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
That one. I clearly not Marvel, DC.
You knew it involved some kind of radioactive something, and there was changes, so that's what matters.
It was just probably a lonely moth just kind of got stuck in the thing like a fly trap and then grew like 10 times bigger. Maybe.
Like, poor Math has his world rocked because he ran into a zapper.
I would probably guess it was more of a human fell into the waste with a moth.
That's a good...
Yeah, like they accidentally crossed DNA.
Because it'd try and get a moth that big. It'd be a lot of...
Have you seen Ohio moths? Especially at night.
I'll tell you, I had, and moths are harmless. They're very, they can, whatever. There was one in my house the other day that was on my ceiling that was so big, I was terrified to fall asleep. And it's just a moth. It was huge.
You just got a new kitten to go after it.
Listen, I can't reach the ceiling. I know that tiny thing can't reach the ceiling.
Throw it.
It's like I see those people on... Oh, what?
Throw it!
Gently toss, then catch.
Let me reiterate. Gently toss the kitten. It's fine. Throw it!
But actually, 3 days later, after these 4 grave diggers saw Mothman, a couple out for a nightly stroll in their car noticed it flying and hopping from tree to tree. It actually landed and stood in front of their car, and the lady who was in the car with them actually started getting night terrors about it all. But what's it called? Yeah, it should be night terrors. There's another word for it, but I can't think of it.
Describe it.
Are you
It's
talking about sleep paralysis?
That's it. She started to get sleep paralysis and always having vivid dreams / hallucinations of Mothman. And so all of her drawings and paintings, because she was an artist, always had the Mothman shadow-looking effect that if you were to Google Mothman today, the whole black or brown with the just ruby red eyes just piercing through. Yeah. But it also, with that being said, after the car stopped for Mothman, the people started kind of driving after Mothman, and he kept going from tree to tree again and disappeared into a local field. I've been in that part of Ohio / West Virginia, and there's some weird things going on down there.
There's some weird things in Ohio. I mean, we produce Lamageddon. That's enough for me. That tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah. After going to the farm that me and Phil went to, yeah, there's Lamageddon to a T. But they all thought it was a bird. Like, the local newspapers thought it was like, what do they call it?
Sandhill cranes.
Yeah. Because I was going to call it Big Bird, but smaller version that didn't talk. But
The sandhill cranes is what a lot of the newspapers and stuff thought about it. Because sandhill cranes are large. They got 10-foot wingspans. They got red eye markings over top their face. And their migratory route doesn't really go through there. But they said it might have been an off year where some of them accidentally got lost.
I feel it. Because there's some mountains in West Virginia that they could just made a weird left at the one mountain and ended up in Point Pleasant. Oh, they also thought it was more like a deformed crane, too. A possibility of it, with it being in that TNT area. That it could possibly be raised there with a weird deficiency.
Could have.
Because if you were to look up the bunker of it, it literally looks like just a door and a hillside. So I could totally see a sandhill crane making a nest on that thing. A lot of people also thought it was people just being punks and started pranking them. And a lot of people, I guess, ghillie costumes, they used to dress up in them at night when people would go Mothman hunting. And they would see, at least like an arm or someone like walking penguin style across. And people would thought that they would see Mothman. But it really is just someone possibly in a costume.
Seems like a way to get shot.
In West Virginia, yes. They also thought it could be a UFO that they're seeing too. Is there a possibility? Yes. Or is it just Mothman? Because why are people losing their dogs? German Shepherd-sized dogs missing.
All right, but hear me out. Why is Mothman suddenly a carnivore? What in the moth process? He was just like, fuck fabric. I want meat.
Maybe the meat gives him more energy based instead of plants.
What in his mouth as a moth is allowing him to eat this meat?
From one story I heard, from what people seen, is that he does have the mouth of a moth, but he has this long, when he opens his mouth, this long proboscis comes out, just kind of goes in and starts drinking you.
So kind
Just
of like
kinda
the butterfly feeler for nectar, and it just kind of drinks the person from the inside out.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm happy
Kinda-
you thought of that, because I thought totally like chupacabra, like vampire.
But like, it's just, I just feel like we did a huge jump. This moth is a moth. He's a Mothman. Neither man nor moths eat people.
Well, technically, no one's ever really gotten a good look at his face, and a lot of some of the descriptions I've seen say they don't really even know if the wings are moth-like or if they're more bat-like. And he originally got his name due to a bunch of newspapers liking the Batman comics at the time, because the Batman comics and the Batman TV shows were super popular back in that day. So they just, instead of like Batman, they did Mothman.
So this is Batman's cousin.
Just
once removed.
Less detective-y, yeah.
A couple times removed.
But explain the Men in Black.
Like you said, alien sightings, governments. It was around the TNT plant, TNT bunkers, which is government property. So maybe they were using that to scare people all off away from the waste and the contamination.
Because what I've seen is people who were talked to by the Men in Black disappeared. Or they went mentally insane.
I have no clue then. But yeah.
Like, both came in, what's his name with the pug and the little clicker thing? That's what I think that happened. Will Smith.
That type of Men in Black.
Yes. That's what I think of Men in Black. The little clicker thing said cheese, totally just memory lost, taken away, insane asylum.
I feel like Mothman is such an open story.
That's probably why he's gained so much popularity.
I just, like, when I think of Mothman, I kind of think of, he's a cryptid a lot, like Bigfoot. He's been spotted. There's, like, silhouetted pictures. But nobody's seen or met this person face to face, this cryptid. So it's all hearsay. Is it, a lot of people say it's like government distractions. It's, they've used this to veer you away from something more important. They've used this to veer you away from a facility that they had all set up. Okay, then why are... I don't know. Like the original sighting was it was by grave diggers. Like what reason would they have to veer them away from what was happening right then? I don't know. I just feel like when I think of Mothman, I think of, it's just a lot like Bigfoot. Like, I think he's out there somewhere, but I don't think he's this big, huge monster that everybody plays him out to be necessarily.
Have you heard about the story of the Silver Bridge collapsing?
No.
Okay, so
This is another kind of side of Mothman where he is more like the Banshee in a way.
a very bad omen. So in, I couldn't even tell you the year, but I know it was like December. I know it was December 15th because it would be after my birthday, way before I was even born. Around Christmas time. So the Silver Bridge connected Point Pleasant to anyone that lives in this area. Don't come at me. There's two ways of pronouncing this city: Gallipolis or Gallipolis. I only know this because I have lots of friends that live down in that area, and I got corrected every time. But down in Gallipolis, there is a bridge, a silver bridge, that connects Point Pleasant to this city. And one of the I-beams, something failed, and so about 43 cars / people fell into the Ohio River. And so 43 people died, and a couple of the survivors that survived the collapse, they reported seeing a black creature sitting on one of the other beams on the Ohio side, just sitting there. Like big black ruby red eyes, bad omen. And they also think that this could be the lead of, what is that place in Ukraine?
You talking about Chernobyl?
That's it.
I don't think Chernobyl's in Ukraine, is it? Yeah, I don't know.
It says Ukraine. I thought it was further in Russia. It's a city inside of Ukraine.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess you were right.
Woo! Yeah, look. December 15th, 1967 was when the Silver Bridge collapsed. I also have... That was the first bad omen. The second bad omen was possibly in Chernobyl. And some other things, just where the other possible Mothman sightings were at.
Okay, so we got sightings in West Virginia
In Ohio.
and Ohio, and we got sightings in Ukraine, Chernobyl. How did he get across the ocean?
He can fly!
Do you know how far the ocean spreads?
Although people say it's a lake.
There might just be more than one. Or he might be a spirit. You wish to tell him where their Mothman has been sighted recently?
Oh, yeah, sorry. So, the last time Mothman has been spotted was in 2016. A man moved from somewhere to Point Pleasant, and he saw, again, a mysterious creature in a tree going from tree to tree jumping. So this is in 2016. It's 2022. I graduated high school in 2016, so that's what, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 6 years ago. So that's my most recent thing I found. Unless you found something different.
I actually did find something from this year, actually. Yeah, the Mothman has been sighted over like 70 times so far.
Oh, shit.
In the city of Chicago.
Oh, he's moving on.
He currently moved upriver to Chicago.
Is there a bad thing going to happen to Chicago then?
Well, and then before that, and before what you saw, he was actually sighted on, from what people say, they captured photos of Mothman escaping the World Trade Center and Twin Towers. Yep, those are kind of some of the sightings that we've seen the Mothman at.
Mm-hmm.
What this Point Pleasant, West Virginia, actually holds a festival now in honor of the Mothman. And that happens to be this coming, when the episode's going to be released Monday, hopefully, or Tuesday, depending on when I can get it edited. But the Saturday, September 16th and 17th, Saturday, Sunday, there's a Mothman festival down in Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
17th, 18th.
Yeah,
17th, 18th.
that one.
I was close. I don't have a calendar.
We've talked about going this weekend.
But it's the fair this weekend.
Hear about the fair.
We lived the fair for how...
I don't live the fair.
Just come to the fair during a weekday, and then we can all go to West Virginia.
The audacity of coming to the fair on a weekday.
We'll go to the fair on a Saturday, then we can go to West Virginia on a Sunday.
Yeah. Because I work Saturday.
It would be really cool to go to the festival, though. No lie. It would be very neat.
I want to touch his cheeks again. When I went down there... Oh, this is getting to the story. So, 6 years ago, I went down to Gallipolis area because I have friends from college that live down there. So I was just like, I'm going to go and visit their town, whatever. And so a bunch of my friends that live down that area is like, oh, have you heard the thing about Mothman? This is the first time I've ever heard about Mothman. And now I just kind of went to a vortex down the hole. And now here I am. I said, no, what is it? They're like, oh, it's this guy. I was like, let's go Mothman hunting then. No one told me it was in West Virginia. So I left Ohio without my mom knowing. And went exploring West Virginia around Point Pleasant. And by the time I came back and told my mother about this, I thought I was gonna die. Because my mom's like, you left Ohio? And this is when the story when Silver left Ohio without my mom knowing. So we both kind of floated down the river here. Because he went go-karting and I went Mothman hunting. But I have pictures of the Mothman statue that is in the middle square of Point Pleasant, Ohio, or not Point Pleasant, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And there's actually a live video camera on him 24/7. And a lot of people take pictures with him, like they've seen him all over the world. They come and visit this statue. And I think I took a picture of it way back when.
There is also a new TikTok trend with Magic the Gathering players, where in order to get good luck with their cards, they'll go and swipe it through Mothman's butt cheeks.
Listen, this statue has cake.
That sounds like a great time.
And the only picture, unfortunately, that I have is like him up front and him in his butt. 'Cause I
Sounds
don't
like the
know.
only way to do it.
Yeah. But on his statue, his little sign says, on a chilly fall night, November of 1966, two young couples drove into the TNT area north of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, when they realized they were not alone. What they saw that night has evolved into one of the great mysteries of all time, hence the Mothman legacy begins. It has grown into a phenomenon known all over the world by millions of curious people asking questions. What really happened? What did these people see? And how has it been since? It sparks the world curiosity of the mysteries behind Point Pleasant, West Virginia, Mothman. And that's what sits on his sculpture. And there has been movies made about the Mothman. Called what? The Mothman Prophecies. And I guess one of my good friend Drew, who lives in Gallipolis, he will come after me if I say it that way. His good friend's grandma was interviewed because she saw Mothman. And they got videos of her and what her input was for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of sums up my notes, besides the other media portion of...
Well, we started talking about movies. We can kind of move on to media,
Yeah.
unless Chaotic
Go into
has
the
anything
media.
to add.
No, this is all. I mean, a lot of it, some of it's new, but a lot of it is mostly what I already knew. So I don't have anything to add. I've just been listening very intently. I like Mothman. I just don't know a whole lot about him.
Do you have the tattoo of Mothman? I have a coworker that has a tattoo of Mothman on her, like, whatever this is of her arm.
I want a tattoo of Mothman.
Oh, it's so sweet. I'll have to, like, have her take a picture of it and send it to you.
We can add it to the podcast imaging if she doesn't mind.
Oh, yeah, we can do that. I'll have to
In
text
the
her.
Discord.
Yeah. Is this the magical, like, music plays at this moment?
Yeah, the magic will be going now. You have more media?
So with media things, I know you kind of fall into, like, the video game categories. And what I've seen just from what I researched, because I'm terrible at researching media sorts of it, because I got a million things. He's in a cartoon called Gravity Falls.
I love Gravity Falls.
Okay, I've never seen this ever in my life. I've never seen the show.
You would love that entire show. So I'm just going to need you to get off of here and go watch it when you're done.
But he's in Gravity Falls, apparently. And he's also in... This is more of the video games that I've never played, because I'm just Animal Crossing and now Disney. Fallout. Fallout 74, I don't know. He has, like, his
Fallout
own...
76.
Oh.
You were close.
Fallout. But he's, like, has his own sculpture there, and if you actually look at the sculpture, he is, like, black. Again, the ruby red eyes. And he just kind of just J-chills there. And then he's not technically in Pokemon, because I know from listening through the other ones, he's not the Omni part of it. Absol?
Absol's a Pokemon that predicts natural disasters. It's kind of the same, but Absol is not a moth. He's more of a dog.
Okay, he's Butterfree then. But Butterfree's too nice to be Mothman.
I think that we're still being mean to Mothman and his capabilities.
And then, of course, the Mothman prophecies and other people actually being really crazy with Mothman and the Mothman believers, people with tattoos, the whole Mothman festival.
Yeah, Mothman has certainly become a major pop culture cryptid. Where I know they got Funko Pops of him. I think they got stuffed animals of him. He said tattoos, stickers, books. He's probably been in more anime and video games, but I just can't think of any off the top of my head now. And he's made it onto many podcasts. I know there's several dozen podcasts about the Mothman, different stories of him,
Songs.
songs. Yes, there's music for him, about him. I'm sure if any of you listeners just Google Mothman and enter the media type, there will be something. Yeah, I'm gonna write some poems of a Mothman.
Yeah, right.
The one craze I do know is on TikTok, and you type in Mothman, and it has the first going of the YMCA song, and then instead of going that whole shebang,
I can't see you doing the YMCA dance, but
Oh,
we
yeah.
we got it.
you got the gist. But instead of going YMCA, it goes Mothman. And it's
I don't
just
think
like
that was to the same beat.
someone popping out with a Mothman costume, but that's literally what I picture when I think
That's
of the media.
fantastic.
And it just makes me smile. Like, if I have a bad day, Mothman. Yeah.
Well then, on to the mayhem.
Mayhem, mayhem, mayhem.
Why was that male? Why was that Blue's Clues male?
Because that's what I think of it.
It's beautiful.
In my car by myself driving home from work on my Mondays, because this is my ritual, I literally sing that in my car by myself, and Phil thinks I'm 10 out of 10 nuts.
He may be half correct, but
I'm your sister.
as mayhem-wise, I think he is not very dangerous. I'd like to believe the Mothman's more of the ill-omen type than the eat-people dog type.
Nothing like the Tarrasque.
Yeah, not like the Tarrasque. I think he's more closer to the Banshee, whether you see him but you're not gonna die, but 46 other people might.
I don't know. I would like to think in my rendition of it that Mothman's pretty harmless and everybody's just blaming their unfortunate things on him. And he's just out here trying to live his best Mothman life and exists. And maybe he eats a dog or two every now and then. It happens. But I don't think he's out here bringing death upon people.
He's not bringing in death. I think he's just, letting you know it's going to be happening there next to you soon.
I feel like he doesn't have that much responsibility. I feel like this poor man got mixed up with a moth. He's forever trapped like this. Now he's got to to dogs. He's got to tongue the dog and eat it from the inside out. He's going through a lot. Okay, he's going through a lot. I feel like he's not a bad guy.
Is he going to avoid the little zappers now that you hang from your porch?
No, he absolutely still walks straight into those. So in case you ever just have a Mothman-sized hole in your porch after getting hit by a bug zapper, you know what happened.
Ouch.
It might explain why some of the power goes out at night. Maybe something's sparking and, Mothman sees it and just flies into it and your power just goes out.
You're telling me he lost his moth DNA and stopped running into lights? BS. He absolutely still runs straight into lights.
I mean, I run into tow truck mirrors. I mean, same thing. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, what other things would Mothman probably do mayhem-wise? Maybe if you leave your sheets out in West Virginia, maybe you just get big holes in them when you're drying them outside.
Yeah, don't dry him outside. You just have huge Mothman-sized holes. He's leaving mothballs everywhere.
Do you think a mothball would be strong enough to repel Mothman?
I mean, if you maybe super combined them, made a giant one.
Maybe Mothman is the maker of mothballs and it's just his turds. I don't know how mothballs are made. They smell bad. They repel other moths. Mothman's the alpha, probably, of all the moths. Maybe he controls moths like the Jorogumo, like last week, controls spiders. Minus the fire breathing.
I 10 out of 10 believe that. All the moths that we see in real life are just babies of Mothman.
But if that's true, so now going back to the harbinger of death type thing, moths tend to be the sign of the devil. In horror movies, they usually spit out moths or they're got moths surrounding them and stuff. So if he's controlling the moths, does that make Mothman a demon?
He's got the ruby red glowing eyes.
And he'll eat your dog, so it's...
Well, that's still, it's circle of life. It's fine.
I mean, what if he's just a coagulation of moths? That's why no one can actually see his true form, really. And when he flies, he doesn't actually flap his wings.
Dude.
So maybe he's just a person who fell into the radioactive lake water next to the TNT plant that then gained the ability to control moths, which he made form himself into a moth and fly.
I'm down. Totally what happened. Reminds me of the spider from Harry Potter.
What?
How does that remind you of the spider from Harry
Because
Potter?
he sends out the spiders of the line of spiders, and those are his children, and he's like, bring back Harry, Ron, and Hermione, and Ron's like, the spiders.
Okay, then. I guess
Yeah, 2 and 2.
it's like a 25% connection there, but okay.
You still got a connection. We are not doing the old internet type thing when you can't connect. Or is that on the phone line? I don't know, something like that. Aren't you proud of me? Don't worry, listeners, it gets 20 times more fun on Chaotic Stream when me and Silver go at it via chat, and then Chaotic has to step in like mom and tell us to stop.
No, I don't tell you to stop. Just continue the chaos. It's fine. I'm just there to watch.
Any more mayhem that you can think of there, Chaotic? I would like to add?
I don't think so. I mean, as far as mayhem-wise, I think we pretty much covered it. I don't think he's super dangerous. I think he's just kind of like a big guy that runs around in the sky and eats some dogs every now and then. Oh, apparently I'm sleepy. But overall, I think he's just a pretty cool cryptid with a lot of cool things behind him. I don't think he's like a danger to society or anything, so.
I don't really think there'd be any need to actually get rid of him, military actions and whatnot, if he was around, if there's more of him. I think he'd be pretty intelligence-wise, I think, on the medium scale, like, the average high schooler, probably.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like the most danger that could be caused is, of course, if the wrong people get a hold of him and try to do experiments and shit.
Yeah, then that might make him angry.
Chernobyl, all over again.
I guess we'll start wrapping up the episode, and we'll thank you again to our patrons. We had patrons. One of those two words. We had Thor, Mondi, and
Ruby!
Ruby also gets special shout-outs on my stream because Ruby is tier 3, yes?
Yes.
So anytime somebody pops podcast in the chat, I usually mention the fact that Ruby's a Hella supporter. So if you'd like to be a Hella supporter like Ruby, tier 3 Patreon. Thank you.
Yeah, please come join the club, because so far I'm the only lonely tier 3 one. Please, I'm begging.
You can find a link to the Patreon in every episode description. I usually post it there. It doesn't come up when you search it. Then you can also come and talk to either Ruby or Chaotic and me in our Discord or on our Twitters. And the link's below. And if you wish to join us in the streams, Chaotic streams down there as well.
I will pop in every now and then and say hi and talk about random things, especially my cows.
Is there anything you would like to, self-promote yourself, Ruby, or?
Once in a great while, I will stream. That is Rubyhummingbird on Twitch. Every now and then, I'll be popping in and out on Chaotic stream, on Silver stream as well. Yeah, that's mostly about it. I don't do much a whole lot, but if you got cows and want to talk about cows...
Ruby is also an Animal Crossings and Disney enjoyer. So
yeah.
if you'd like to play or make friends...
I will 10 out of 10 come visit your island on Animal Crossing, and then the new Dreamlight Valley, whatever it is. It's still so new, my brain's not even functioning correct. Yeah, I play that too. So come join the fun.
Guess we'll roll with Chaotic with her outro. Whenever she's got a notebook.
Handy dandy notebook.
Handy is the handy dandy notebooks. Look at that elegance as she flips the page.
10 out of 10.
I felt like an animal on National Geographic. They flip the page so majestically. Join us again next Monday on Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem, found on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Anchor.fm. Silver and Chaotic talk about how monsters and myths came to be and how they would be received in modern-day society. Follow, like, and subscribe to support. Also find the podcast on Twitter and Discord with the links below to keep up to date with the newest merchant activity. Besides, who knows what mayhem we will get into next.
Woo!
Made it through.
Fucking music. We're out. We're done.
Well, here's the bell in the background from the cat.
Now for the different takes of all it takes.
Oh, yeah. Please enjoy the last 10 minutes of the show after the music.
Join us again next... Ellie! Stop. Sit down for a minute and be quiet.
Join us again on next Ellie.
Chaotic Kids on this episode.
Join us again next Monday for another episode of Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem. This is the old one. This isn't even the right one. Hang on. Silver and Chaotic talk about how monsters and myths came to be and how they... Ellie's just going ham. Join us again next Monday on Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem, found on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Anchor.fm. Silver and Chaotic talked about how monsters and myths came to be and how they would be received in modern-day society. Follow, like, and subscribe to support. Also find the podcast on Twitter and Discord with the links below to keep up to date with the newest...
You hear the bell in the background from the cat.
I know it's probably quiet on your guys' end, but all I can hear is... Yeah, I almost had it done. Join us again next Monday on Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem, found on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Anchor. It's never good. It was Atlas this time.
You're like, what are you doing?
I can't breathe. I'm getting wheezy. I'm letting my inhaler. Ruby down.
All right, we're trying again. Join us again next Monday on Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem. It's broken. Okay, hang on. Join us again next Monday.
Can we keep this when the whole podcast ends too? Like,
It'd just be 10 minutes of trying to get the...
that's fine. I will totally 10 out of 10 listen to that.